If y'all can take a look over there, you know, you're gonna see that I got cattle up here, and then I also got cattle right there. And so yesterday I did go to the sale barn, and I did sell my cattle, and I brought home new cattle. And in terms of, well, I got I brought home 8 animals. All right, I sold 3. My market estimates were very good, right? I was saying that I anticipate, and I'm not boasting, I'm not bragging or nothing. I'm just telling you that I said that I believe that the animals are going to hit the scale at about 725, right? I actually said I believe that the animals are going to hit the scale at about 725, and I'll make about $1,600 per animal. And the animals hit the scale at 720, and I made $1,740, but then I had to pay $73 per animal for commission. So I thought I was going to make $1,600 per animal. I made $1,670. I thought that the animals were going to come in at a 725, and they came in at 720. And so I sold 3. I made enough money to buy about 5.5, but instead of buying 5.5, I bought 8. And so I got I bought a bunch of unweaned calves. 2 of them are bone thin. One of them is very small. One of them is 165 pounds. And I figured that, well, her mom probably died. I don't really want to go over there and take a look at the calves because, these calves, if I get too close to them, they're going to freak out. And I don't want to freak them out, right? I just want to leave them there and for a couple of weeks. And so, but I'll show you all the calves, later on down the line. I'll get over there and I'll show you the calves. But one of them is very small and very thin. And so, very thin. I mean, I can see like every bone. I can see like every bone in her body. And so I figured, and she's not bawling either. She's not freaking out or nothing. And so I figured that her mama probably died. And so, and she looks very, very rough. But the good thing is that she's eating. She's eating a lot of food. And so as long as they're eating, I'm not too worried about it, because when these animals get sick, they'll actually stop eating, and that's not good. And so yesterday I brought them home. I gave them all a shot of antibiotics. I sold 3 animals, and I bought the animals for $8.40 a piece. And so it was like $8.20 or $8.40 a piece. And so yesterday was just a very good day at market for me. You win some, you lose some, but if you stick to it overall, you just kind of trade the average, right? That's what I've said. You can't win them all, you don't lose them all either, right? I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where you legitimately just think that everything's impossible. You don't want to be in that situation either, right? You don't lose everything, and you don't win everything either. And so, I mean, it just is what it is, right? And so, but that's what happened yesterday. I sold my animals. My market estimates were very good. I was saying I think that they're going to hit the scale at about 725. They hit the scale at 720. I thought I was going to make 1,600, but I made 1,670. And so I sold 3 and I bought 8. And why did I do that? Because when I sold my 3, I made enough money to effectively buy about 5.5, but I leveraged my earnings 1 for 1 and I bought 8. Why am I willing to do that? Because I still have these animals. These animals are definitely 100% guaranteed in the net positive. All right, I'm not worried about, oh my God, if I sell my 29 animals, if I sell my 30 animals, then I'm actually going to lose money. That's not going to happen. All right, I guarantee. I'm not going to say the word guarantee, but let's just logically think about it. And actually, I was going to sell that brindle shorthorn calf on the end. But as I was loading them up, I mean, he just hit the fence, and then he ran for it. And so, I mean, he slammed into that thing and knocked it over and ran for it. And so I just said, I'll just take them next time. And so I only ended up selling 3 calves yesterday. I only ended up selling 3 yearlings today when I was originally anticipating to buy 4 or to sell 4. And so when I take a look at my balance sheet and I take a look at everything that I got going on, I got 8 calves over there. 4 or 5. I got them split up 4 or 5, 4 or 4 in each one, and a majority of them. One of them is very thin, and she's not balling. She's already been weaned, and she's eating a lot of food, but she is very thin. And so, and I have another one that's a big one, and she's also very thin. And, I figured if they're eating, they'll be doing okay. And actually, I was just taking a look at her, and she actually just coughed right now. But I don't know if she coughed because maybe she swallowed a piece of dirt or something. But she's over there chewing on the grass, so that's good. All right, do I really want these animals eating a whole bunch of fresh grass? Not really. I don't want these animals eating a whole bunch of fresh grass. Why? Because the feed values are astronomical. These animals are already stressed. A lot of them are already being weaned. The grass will give them acidosis. But I mean, there's, but I gave them feed, and if I have to, I can, whatever, right? Whatever, but I mean, they're gonna eat the grass and whatever. I mean, if they, I can go to the local department store and buy a bale of hay, and I could give that to them. If I start thinking that they're gonna have acidosis because they're eating too much grass, I can give them a bale of hay. So I'm gonna keep a good eye on them. My whole thing is that I really want to focus on my onboarding program, right? Because one of the hardest things that the whole thing about this bringing home unweaned calves at a 2.25, 250, bringing home a bunch of unweaned calves is that these calves, you really got to know what you're doing. All right. You really got to know what you're doing. It's not easy. I'm not suggesting that anybody do this. And at the end of the day, it's a free country. You can do whatever you want. But I mean, just understand that bringing home a bunch of unweaned 250-pound calves is about the hardest that it's going to get. All right. In terms of the beef business. In terms of the beef business, a lot of people would actually, like if you buy them at 400 pounds, I mean, but you can do whatever you want. And at the end of the day, it's a free country. I mean, if you want to go and you want to buy a bunch of unweaned 250-pound calves, nobody's stopping you, right? I mean, don't let me stop you. I mean, go ahead and do it if that's what you want to do. But just understand that it is going to be very difficult and that you need to understand what you're doing. All right, if you bring them home at 400, you're really not gonna have to worry about a whole bunch of things. But at the end of the day, am I saying that it's gonna be easier? Am I saying that it's gonna be easy if you bring home 400-pound calves? No, it's not. It's not gonna be easy. Okay, it's not gonna be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. All right, that's the old saying, right? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And so I got the calves separated 4 and 4. I sold 3 yesterday. I made enough money to buy 8. Or I made enough money to buy 5.5, but I brought home 8. I made enough money to buy about 6, 5.5, 6, but I brought home 8. And the calves in the front, they're going to be balling for a couple of days. And here in about, they'll probably be balling for about 2 or 3 days. Maybe 2 days, and then they'll be okay. I brought 2 animals home that are just bone thin. They're bone thin, and so... okay, here's what I see going on, in the future and everything, right? I have this herd, right? This herd is definitely in the net positive. I have positive equity in these animals, right? I have positive equity in these animals. These animals are going up in value. When I sell 3 animals, if I want to leverage my earnings 1-for-1, every time I sell 3 animals, I need to buy 8 animals. That means with my current business plan of me selling 6 animals every single month, if I'm going to sell 6 animals every month, I need to bring home 16 animals. I need to bring home 16. All right, and so in my situation right now, it's the beginning of the year. I know I talked about this a couple months ago, but it's the beginning of the year. It's a new tax year, and so I'm actually holding on to some earnings. I'm actually holding on to some cash because I have the entire year to figure it out. So even think about it like this. If I buy 3 animals, if I sell 3 animals and I buy 8 animals, all right, if I sell 3 animals and I buy 8 animals, that means every month if I sell 6 animals, I need to buy 16 animals. That's what it's going to take for me to keep my balance sheet at 0. I'm not even in the negative, right? And also I have a herd that is stabilized, and this is a safe investment right here, right? These animals, they're a safe investment. I mean, they're not, I'm not going to lose, these animals, they've more or less been stabilized and they're good to go. And, I'm making money on them, and I would anticipate that I'm going to continue to make money on them for about 5 months, for about 4 months, right? And so, but even with, like right now, I sold 3 and I bought 8. I owe 2,300. Okay, but let's just go over, what I got going on right now. I'm gonna see if I can get this calf off. But let's take a look at what I got going on right now, okay? I sell 3, I buy 8. And when I sell 3 and I buy 8, that keeps my balance sheet at 0. So, and I'm really going to work on, I would anticipate that, maybe about one of these animals actually end up dying, okay? About one of these animals end up dying. So that leaves me with about 7 animals, all right? So that leaves me with 7. And, for me to keep my herd just at 0, or to keep my herd, just to keep the business plan going, I need to buy 6, I need to have 6 animals a month. And so think about it like this, and if I can reduce my death loss percentages, my income actually skyrockets. And here's the thing. Let's take a look at my situation right now. I sold 3 and I bought 8. I sold 3 and I bought 8, and effectively 1.5 animals, 1.5 or 2 animals, excuse me, 2 animals are effectively, I took an equal amount of the money that I earned, and then I reinvested that amount, right? 1 for 1, right? What I call 1 for 1. So I owe 2 animals worth of equity, okay? So I owe 2 animals worth of equity. And so let's take a look at the whole situation. So I have 8 animals right now, and I need to be selling 6 animals. And for me to keep my business, effectively just running just sideways completely, it's a complicated situation, because the most sensible way for me to tell you what's going on is to think about it like 2 separate herds. That's like the most sensible way. That's like the most reasonable way for me to discuss this, because it's very confusing, and it's and I need to think about it, and there's a lot of moving parts. All right, but think about it like 2 separate herds. I have this herd. Right, this herd is definitely 100% in the net positive, 100% in the net positive equity. There is 0 doubt. If I sold these 30 animals, I could buy more than 30 animals, substantially more than 30 animals, and these animals are going to continue to be profitable for about 4 or 5 months, and I'm not worried about losing money on these animals. All right, so I have an unrealized gain value on these animals every single month, and I'm also anticipating that I have to liquidate about 6 animals a month for the next 5 months. Right, I have to liquidate about 6 animals every month. And if I liquidate 6 animals every month, and I liquidate them at the market weight, etc., and I just, whatever the business plan, right? Then every time I sell 6 animals, I actually need to buy 16. And so it's like, it's like every time I go to the market, it's like if I sell 3 animals, I need to buy 8. That would just keep me at 0, and I still have animals here right now that are stabilized and they are going up in value. If, for whatever reason, I needed to increase my cash stockpile or whatever, I could just hold on to the cash and leverage against the animals, whatever it is that I want to do. And here's the thing. Even when I, just run my farm and etc., I almost always end up with $5,000 to $7,000 cash left over that I just cannot do anything with it. Every single month, I cannot do anything with it, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really want to reinvest this money. I want to reinvest this money. But I can't do it because my farm is effectively at maximum capacity. All right, more or less that's what's happening. Even when I go to the sell barn and I sell 3 animals and I buy 8 animals, and even if I sell 3 and buy 8, even when I do that, I still am stuck in a situation where I have a net positive of about $5,000 to $7,000 a month. It's somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 a month. Even after even if I go to the sell barn and I sell 3 animals and I buy 8, even if I do that and everything, I buy all the feed and all the fertilizer and everything, I still have about somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 a month left over. All right, and if I have $5,000 to $7,000, and this is also why I want to buy myself a big field. Why do I want to buy myself a big field? Because in reality, if I have $5,000 to $7,000 left every single month, I would take that money and I would leverage it 1 for 1. I would be willing to leverage it 1 for 1. I would not invest $10,000 more into my business every month. I would not be investing the cash. I would not invest $5,000 to $7,000 a month. I would invest $10,000 to $14,000 a month. And let's just take a look at it for what it is. All right, let's say that I have these I sold 3 animals and I bought 8. I sold 3 animals and I bought 8. Let's say one of them dies. That means I still have 7. That means, and let's just say I'm, negative 2 equity, right? And so I sell 3 animals, right? And I make enough money to buy, let's say 5.5. But I still owe the 2 animals worth of equity, and so I really come home with 3.5 animals worth of equity, right? I have 3.5 animals worth of equity, and so I take that 3.5 animals worth of equity, and then I buy 2 months of feed and fertilizer with it, right? I pay for my feed, and then I buy fertilizer for the grass and whatever. Next month I still I only need to buy 5 animals now. Right, I already have 1 animal from the month before. I only need to buy 5 animals to keep my business plan running steady. And so the next month I need to purchase 5 animals, but I'm going to be selling 6. And when I sell 6, I effectively make enough money to buy what? To buy about 5. Or excuse me, when I sell 6, I don't make enough money to buy 5. I make enough money to buy 12. Right, but I need to buy 5. And so I still have 7 animals worth of equity. I need to use a half an animal worth of equity to buy feed for the entire month. And so I am net positive, what, 6.5 animals worth of equity. All right, and that's actually a very realistic way to look at it. That is what my numbers are. I've always said that money is not an opinion. If you have no money but you have a bunch of opinions, what you're in is a situation called a massive pile of BS and no money. You don't want to be in a situation where all you have is a massive pile of BS and you have no money. Nobody cares about your opinions. All right, at the end of the day, I make money. I make a lot of money. I don't even know I don't even know how much money I make, but it is a lot. All right, and what am I looking to do with the money? All right, I'm looking to reinvest it to grow my business. I'm not going to go and buy myself a Lamborghini. I'm not going to go and buy myself a Rolex. I want to grow my business. But that's actually a very, very realistic way. Let's just take a look at it for what it is right now. I sold 3 animals and I bought 8. One of them ends up dying. I still have to sell 3 animals by the end of the month. I still have to sell 3 more animals. For me to hit my 6 animals a month, I need to sell another 3 animals. So I sell my 3 animals and I make enough money to buy 6. All right, I made enough money to buy 6, but instead of buying 6, but I take whatever. I made enough money to buy 5.5, 6, whatever you want to, whatever, right? I mean, and the whole idea is I want to double, right? And so let's just say I follow the business plan and I make enough money to buy 6. But I owe 2,300. I owe 2.5. Let's just say I have to use 3 animals worth of equity to pay for the feed and the fertilizer. So that leaves me with 3 animals worth of equity, and I owe 2 animals worth of equity because I took leverage to purchase the 8. So that leaves me with 1 animal worth of equity, right? I have 1 animal worth of equity left over for the month. But what I did for the entire month was I paid for the feed, I bought fertilizer, and I bought 8 animals, and I sold 6. Right, that's the whole shebang, right? And so I go on to the next month with 1 animal worth of equity in the net positive. I don't know, whatever, right? If anything, I'm in the net positive, right? And so I'm in the net positive. I sell my, I take a look at it and I say, okay, I need to buy 5. I need to have 5 more animals to keep my business plan running just as is. Sell 6, buy 6, right? More or less, right? And so I take a look at the whole thing and I say, okay, well, I need to be net positive 5 animals this month, but I need to sell 6. When I sell the 6, I'm making, I effectively double my money. All right, more or less, I double my money, and so I sell 6 and I make enough money to buy 12. And if I actually make enough money to buy 12, I would not buy 12. I would buy 18. But let's just, or 15, 16, whatever, 16, because I also need to buy 2, I also need to use 2 animals worth of equity to buy feed and fertilizer, etc., etc. So, I would buy 16. But let's take a look at it, right? I have 1 animal net positive in the equity. In the equity section, let's just talk about it in terms of cattle if you don't understand money or whatever. It's just another representation for money. It's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. So I have 1 animal of net positive equity entering the next month. I need 5 animals and I'm going to sell 6. So I sell my 6. I make enough money to buy 12. I buy 5. That leaves me with 7 animals worth of equity, and I have 1 animal worth of equity from the month before. And then I go and I purchase myself 3 animals worth of equity. Right, 3 animals worth of equity of fertilizer and grain, which is ridiculous. I mean, I'm not gonna, realistically, we're talking about 2. I mean, let's not be ridiculous. Just to say 2 animals worth of equity of feed and grain. I'm not gonna buy 4 tonnages of fertilizer. I'm not gonna buy 2 tonnages of fertilizer and half a truckload and 4 tons of grain. I'm not gonna do that. That's a lot. What am I going to do with 2 tonnages of fertilizer and 4 tonnages of grain? I mean, that's unrealistic, right? And so, I have, let's just say 2 animals worth of equity is what it's going to cost me to take care of my animals. And so I have, I have 1 animal in the net positive. I have 1 animal equity in the net positive. I sell 6 animals. I make enough money to buy 12. I need to buy 5 more to keep my business plan effectively just running the same across, whatever, right? Just to keep my business running forward, I need to buy 5 animals. And so, I buy the 5 animals, right? I buy the 5 animals, and that still leaves me with 7 animals worth of equity. I take 2 animals that worth of equity. That still leaves me in the net positive 5 animals. And if I'm in the net positive 5 animals, I would not buy 5 animals. I would buy 10. All right, because 5 is my money, and so I would leverage it 1 for 1. Because, if I did that, it wouldn't really matter. Right, I leveraged my portion. Granted, would I do it instantaneously? No, I would not. I would invest the $5,000 first, right? If I would take a loan and invest the leverage first, hold on to the cash, and then once I had the investment stabilized, I could leverage against them. That's more of a realistic way of how I would do it. But this farm, I mean, even after I keep everything running sideways, I keep everything running good, and I don't damage my business or anything, I still end up with about $5,000 to $7,000 a month cash that I cannot reinvest. Even if I wanted to, I could not. All right, that's not but I'm not saying but because of this situation, I am looking to buy myself a big field. Because in all reality, if I have 5,000, if I have 7,000, well, let's just say whatever, right? I mean, let's just say $5,000. If I have $5,000 left over every single month, even after I did everything, and I still have positive equity in the animals as well. Here's the thing. If I went, when I go, not if, but when I go and I buy myself a new field, this herd right here, I would be willing to leverage against this entire herd 1 for 1. And I would also leverage against my earnings 1 for 1. I'm being completely serious. That is what I would do. Okay, these animals, I'm not, they're probably going to be profitable for another 4 months. If I take a leverage for them 1 for 1, not leveraging future earnings or anything, I just take a look at my herd. I determine that, what kind of value do I have in these animals, and then I leverage for that amount. I would be willing to do it. And also, I would be willing to leverage against my cash position 1 for 1 as well. Effectively, I would have to buy something like 150 cattle tomorrow. Like, I would have to buy like 120 cattle tomorrow just to keep myself at 0. All right, that's the whole shebang. All right, and that's the situation. That's what I'm looking at, and that is why I am looking to buy a big field. I would legitimately leverage against this whole herd 1 for 1. Even after I reinvest and everything, I keep my business running I keep my business running. I am still left with like $5,000 to $7,000 a month cash left over that I cannot do anything with as of right now. And that's why I'm looking to buy myself a big field. When I buy a big field, I would be willing to leverage against my cash position 1 for 1 as well. Would I do it all at the same time? No, I would not do it all at the same time. I would go to the bank and say, hey, banker, I have whatever, this much cash position. And if the banker tells me, we want to whatever, right? You need to whatever, lower your debt to income ratio, raise your credit score. I can always just liquidate some of my investments, right? I mean, I am 100% in the net positive. 100%. I mean, I'm very, very, very far in the net positive. I'm legitimately producing so much money that I cannot reinvest it. All right, that is legitimately my situation. All right, and I want to buy myself a big field, a very big one, like 325 acres, something like that, 350 acres. I might as well just go for it, right? I mean, I already make the money to cover the debt. I'm not worried about that. If the banker tells me, you need to whatever, lower your debt to income ratio, then I will just go and do it. I am 100% guaranteed in the net positive. And if something happens, let's say I risk some of my money, right? And let's say all, but I don't really want to give myself bad juju, and I don't, but whatever. Let's say in a theoretical situation, all 8 of my animals drop dead instantaneously. These 8 animals that I brought home drop dead instantaneously. Then I could just sell 3 animals and buy another 8. right? I mean, it doesn't matter. All right. I'm not going to say no. I'm always saying in terms of a financial sense, it does not matter. In terms of, I don't want to see my animals die. That's what matters more to me. The money is negligible. All right. It doesn't matter even if I lost if I lost all of my animals in my land, everything, I could just redo everything in 3 seconds. It does not matter to me. It does not matter to me. All right, and if you take a look at my situation, I mean, but that's a very realistic way to look at it. Even if I keep my business running, completely just okay, I still have money that I am making in these animals, and I am legitimately producing like $5,000 to $7,000 a month on top of everything that I cannot reinvest, even if I tried. That's my situation, and these animals are still going up in value too. Right, I mean, if I had to take a rough estimate for how much money do I generate on this field right now, it would be close to something around $20,000 a month. It's something around 20 grand a month. And, I effectively, granted that I go and I buy the cattle and I don't just quit the business and I don't go, right, and I don't want to run the business anymore and, I want to go on a Disneyland adventure. Granted that I don't do something like that. I mean, if I legitimately go and I buy cattle and I leverage 1-for-1 against all of my earnings and, I dump my money into equitable assets, et cetera, my income tax burdens are also practically zero all the time too. Granted that I can actually keep pace. I mean, eventually I'm not going to be able to do that, right? I mean, if I need to legitimately go to the sale barn and if I buy 500 animals, I'm not going to be able to run 1,000 cattle by myself. At that point, I would probably hire a veterinarian. All right, I would hire a veterinarian. Right, maybe at that point I would go and buy myself a feed grinder. Right, at that point I would actually go and buy myself something to where I can mechanize the delivery of feed, and I'd probably hire a veterinarian too, maybe 2 veterinarians. All right, but as of right now, I can do it by myself, and so I'm just gonna continue to do it by myself until I can't do it by myself anymore. And when I can't do it by myself anymore, I've been thinking I'll probably hire a veterinarian. I'd be looking to hire a veterinarian. All right, but as of right now, it's not too difficult. It's not too difficult for me. I can still buy the animals by myself. Yesterday I brought them home and I gave them the shots myself. I got them on the preconditioning. I got them on a preconditioning program. I got them separated, and the four to five. I got 4 or 5 that are just they're balling. And 2 of them are bone thin, and I gave them all a shot of antibiotics, and I got them on feed, and et cetera. Right now, in terms of the business, when I take a look at my balance sheet, everything is good. I am 100% in the net positive, guarantee it. All right, I know poor people love that word guarantee. Money is not an opinion. I talk about this all the time. Nobody cares about your opinions. You don't want to be in a situation where you have opinions and you have no money. If you're in a situation where you have a lot of opinions but you have no money, you're probably stuck in a situation that I call what? A massive pile of BS and no money. You don't want to be stuck in that situation, okay? You don't want to be stuck in that situation. There's a lot of reasons to fail. I mean, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you have no money and you have a bunch of opinions. Nobody cares about the opinions. All right, money is more like a statement of fact. And when I take a look at my situation and I just, determine it for what it is, as a statement of fact, I would say that my farm generates somewhere close. If I was going to give it a conservative estimate, I would say somewhere around $15,000 and $20,000 a month. That's what I would say. Somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 a month. Conservative estimate. All right, in all reality, I don't even, the money, I would not, the holding on to cash is not going to do anything. All right, I talk about this all the time, and in all seriousness, I would actually leverage against the cash earnings 1-for-1 as well. I would leverage against the cash earnings 1-for-1. I would be willing to do it. All right, I would legitimately take a look at a herd like this, and I would say, oh, these animals are probably, if I liquidate 6 animals a month for the next 5 months, I believe I will produce this much cash flow. And that cash flow, I can do whatever, right? If I sell 3, I can buy 8. and the animals are definitely in the net positive equity, and they're good to go. I just kind of need to give them some more time, and the commodity markets are looking good, right? I mean, there's no double whammy happening or anything, right? The cattle market is not plummeting, and the grain market is not skyrocketing or anything like that, right? I have some grass. I've taken a look at everything. At that, if the conditions look good, I would be willing to leverage 1-for-1. I would not just go ahead and just leverage 1-for-1 for no reason. Under these circumstances, right, the commodity markets look good. I mean, there are a lot of things that need to be considered, right? There's not some massive double whammy happening. I mean, you know, the corn market is not skyrocketing, and the feeder cattle market is not plummeting, you know, and I'm not sitting in a situation where I have no grass, right, and grain costs are going up and I'm losing money on the cattle because the cattle prices are going down, and I bought all my cattle at the same time. You know, there are a lot of things to consider, right? And this is also, I say don't buy all your cattle at the same time, right? Why do I say don't buy all your cattle at the same time? Because the market, you know, if you buy all of your cattle at the same time, there is legitimately and granted, and definitely do not buy cattle, hoping that the price of the cattle go up. Definitely do not do that. If you buy cattle and you're like, oh my God, well, if the cattle market goes up, then I can make money. You don't want to be in that situation, because if the cattle market goes up, that's a 33% chance. You're effectively 1/3. You know, you don't want to be in a situation where you are 33% chance of success. All right, like when you take a look at my my business plan, and you take a look at how I run things and just how I do things in real life, I mean, it is a borderline, 0% failure chance. If I was gonna fail, I would have to start doing something like hard drugs. If I started doing hard drugs, my farm would fail. If I started drinking all the time, my farm would fail. If I went and started gambling, then sure, my farm would fail. But in terms of farming as a skill set, I am not going to fail at farming. All right, and a very realistic way to put this is that, in all honesty, I mean, I make more money on my 10.5 acre field than most people make on 500. If you take a look at my numbers, I legitimately keep my farm running and everything. My herd is still in the net positive equity. My herd is still gaining value. I keep everything, sideways, everything running just completely, I'm not damaging the business. I still produce about $5,000 to $7,000 a month of excess cash flow that I cannot do anything with it. As of right now, I cannot. I want to reinvest the money, and in all honesty, I actually want to leverage the money 1-for-1 and reinvest everything. But to put things into perspective, if I were going to do that, if I were going to leverage everything 1-for-1, just 1-for-1, I'm not going to leverage myself to the eyeballs or anything. I'm not going to leverage future earnings. I'm just going to take a look at my balance sheet right now, and I'm going to leverage it 1-for-1. I would have to buy something like 120 cattle tomorrow. I would legitimately have to go and buy like 120 cattle tomorrow. All right, and what am I going to do with 120 cattle? Right, I mean, I would be sitting here with almost 160 cattle. All right, and so because of that situation, I am actually looking to leverage my earnings to purchase myself a giant piece of land so that I can expand my business. And if I want to come back and farm a 10.5 acre field for the rest of my life, I can always come back and do that. All right, if I legitimately want to sit here and make $20,000 a month for all infinity and beyond, if that's what I want to do, I can always come back and do that. All right, it doesn't matter to me. All right, but I'm going to go for it. That's the big idea. And if you take a look at it for what it is, I mean, even when I keep my business running completely stably, I have a solid investment that is going to continue to go up in value for probably another 4 or 5 months. I've purchased replacement animals. I've done all of that. I still have like $5,000 to $7,000 a month left over. Cash, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want to reinvest this money. Should I dump the money into the S&P 500? Should I buy Coca-Cola stock? I don't really want to buy S&P 500, and I don't want to buy Coca-Cola. I want to buy cattle. I want to buy more cattle, right? I want to grow more grass. That's where I make my money. If you take a look at it in terms of a skill set, I may legitimately be one of the most capable farmers on the entire planet. All right, I make more money on my 10.5 acre field than most people make on 500. Money is not an opinion. All right, money is not an opinion. Nobody cares about an opinion. All right, if you have opinions but you have no money, that's very not good. You're probably stuck in a situation where all you have is a massive pile of BS and you have no money. And you don't want to be stuck in that situation. It's not a good situation to be in, all right? It's not. Money is not an opinion. And you can take a look at it for what it is and determine it for yourself. All right, and if you take a look at what I do, I mean, legitimately, if I sold 3 animals, I would actually have to buy, 8. Right, because if I sell 6 animals, if I sell 6 animals a month, then I would have to effectively buy 16, and then I would have to use 2 animals worth of equity to purchase grain and fertilizer. All right, if I use 2, but that's the overall situation. All right, but that's what happened yesterday. I thought my animals were gonna sell for $1,600, but after commissions they sold for $1,670 or so a piece. I thought they were gonna hit the scale at $725. They hit the scale at $720. I was gonna sell 4 animals, but this animal ran off on me. I mean, he hit the fence and then he just booked it. So I just said whatever, right? I'll take him next time. And but that's the whole thing, right? I sold 3, I bought 8. Consider it as -2 equity, right? Consider it as -2 cattle, because I made enough money to buy 6, but I bought 8. So consider it -2 cattle. And I sold 3 and I bought 8. I'm -2 cattle. Later on this month, I need to sell 3 more to keep myself on the 6 animals a month. Right, if I sell 3 animals, I'll make enough money to buy 6, right? And so, I take the 2 off of the 6. That leaves me with 4. I owe 2. I need to use 3 animals worth of equity to buy fertilizer and to pay for the grain that I've already purchased. That leaves me with 1 animal of positive equity. I enter the next month with one animal of positive equity, but I already have 1 animal that I purchased last month that's already good to go, right? I'm already net positive. I have 1 animal that's I purchased the animal last month, and I brought him into the next month, and so I only need to purchase 5 animals. And so so I go and I purchase the 5 animals, 6 animals, whatever, because I think one's gonna die. And so I have 12 animals worth of equity, and then I subtract 6, right? I subtract 6, that leaves me with 6 animals worth of equity, and then I need to use 2 animals worth of equity to purchase the grain and the fertilizer. That still leaves me with 4 animals worth of equity. All right, and my business is still operating completely fine. I didn't take anything out of my business. My business is still effectively going sideways, and I still have this herd here that is definitely in the net positive, and they are gaining value every single month. Even after I reinvest everything and I buy everything to keep my business running, I still have like $5,000 left that I can't do anything with it, even if I wanted to. Or not even if I wanted to. I mean, I'm not going to use the word want. What am I realistically looking to do? I'm looking to buy myself a new piece of land so that I can reinvest that $5,000. And when I reinvest that $5,000, I would not just reinvest $5,000. I would leverage it 1 for 1 and invest $10,000. All right, I would invest $10,000. If I was sitting on a situation where I had $5,000 a month, I would not invest $5,000. I would invest 10. And also, when I buy a new field, all of these animals can be leveraged for 1 against 1. I can instantaneously just go and buy myself 30 more animals. Every time I sell 6, I can buy a 15, 18, whatever. Just leverage it 1 for 1, stabilize the investment, and then re-leverage against the herd, right? I mean, keep the investment stable, keep the investments good, right? The investments are profitably gaining. A reasonable death loss estimate would be 5 to 7% on an animal like this. And, take a look at everything. And then if things start going wonky, then just stop investing, right? Stop investing and then take a look at the situation. And even right now, I would say that, I produce somewhere close to about $5,000 a month. It may even be up to $7,000. And if I double the size of my herd, then that's $10,000. If I triple the size of my herd, then that's $15,000. Right, and I'm already in a position where I can triple the size of my herd. That it wouldn't matter to me. I can already triple the size of my herd. It doesn't matter to me. All right, it doesn't matter to me. I can already triple the size of my herd. I can leverage against my assets 1 for 1 and just triple the size of my herd. I can sell 3 animals and buy 8 until my herd is tripled. I can do that. And if I do that, then I will produce $15,000 a month that I cannot do anything with under any circumstance. I cannot, whatever, right? Then I can use that money and I can leverage that to pay for the land. I can pay for about $3 million worth of land. That's the big idea. I've taken a look at everything. I've determined how much cash flow am I generating, right? What's going on? Is my balance sheet healthy? Is my business going good? And I want to leverage a portion of my earnings to buy myself a new piece of land. The bank will tell me what I need to do to get the loan. I get the loan, I buy the new piece of land, I leverage against my assets 1 for 1. And if I triple the size of my herd, which I can instantaneously do right now, if I felt that I could even probably quadruple the size of my herd, no problem. All right, and it wouldn't even put me in the negative, it just keep me at 0. All right, and doing a deal is going to take a couple of months. So I have a couple of months, and I would actually anticipate that within about the next 5 months, I actually have about somewhere around $100,000 cash. That's what I anticipate. I believe that I will make about $20,000 a month, somewhere between 15 and 20 grand. And I'm already in the net positive about 20 grand right now. All right, and so that's the whole shebang. And when I have cash, I'm not just going to reinvest the cash. I'm going to leverage the cash 1 for 1, and I'm going to invest all of it. If I effectively, when I take a look at my situation, you know, if I run 100 cattle, then I can pay for $3 million worth of real estate, no problem. 100 cattle would just be this times 3. I can do this times 3, no problem. By myself, not an issue. Realistically, I'm looking to do something like probably closer to about 150 to start off with. I really want to hit the ground with about 150. And if I hit the ground with 150, I can actually produce myself a comfortable living wage as well. I can produce myself in earnings. Have some money in my pocket so that I don't have to be homeless, right? And so, but that's the whole idea. This herd, I would be willing to leverage against them 1 for 1. If when I stabilize an investment, et cetera, right? I mean, it's a lot of moving parts, I understand, but that's the whole thing right now, is that even right now, even if I keep my business running completely sideways, completely okay, completely ready to go, no problems, my herd is definitely in the net positive, 100% in the net positive. Right? I cannot, I'm stuck in a situation where I want to reinvest the money, but I can't. And when I reinvest the money, I would not just reinvest the money, I would actually leverage the money 1 for 1. And so that's the whole thing, right? That's what I got going on right now. That's what I'm looking to accomplish, right? And but that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one, okay?